Hello? Okay, so maybe 9 or 10 years ago, I saw don't know if it was really a news piece or a documentary, longer than a news piece, shorter than a documentary, let's say. Um, it was about some students who had developed a device for fighting fire using sound waves. So they were not the first ones to come up with this idea. DARPA, DARPA, the what is it? Defense Advanced Research Project Agency had come up with the idea back in 2012. They experimented with it. Basically, ships and submarines and stuff like that can we fight fire with sound waves on them? And they decided yes, it could be done, but it wasn't practical. So they never carried on with it. So 2014 or 2015, depending on how you look at it, two engineering students, Seth Robertson and Viet Tran at George Mason University, decided that they wanted to, as a project, build one of these. I believe it was their master's project. And like I said, 2015 is when it was supposedly developed. So I'm assuming 2014, or they started a year or two earlier. So that's why I don't know exactly the time for it. They were actually tried to be, or the faculty tried to talk them out of it. And basically, they were saying, look, you've got a deadline for this. In order to get your degree, you have to have a working prototype. And we aren't going to give you any extensions for this. But they went on with it anyway, and they succeeded. So that's one thing I want to go off on a tangent on is higher education. I know people who have their advanced degrees who have gotten extensions for it. One person, understandably, their faculty advisor either retired or moved or quit. And their new faculty advisor looked at their notes and said, look, you're doing this wrong. And so they got an extension for that. Then later they had a health problem and got another extension for that. Whereas these two guys weren't allowed an extension. I know another person defended his doctoral thesis. They said, yes, this is good work, but you need another chapter to it. So we're going to give you a temporary doctorate degree. You got 6 months to write a new chapter, or we're going to revoke your degree or something like that. Which he did. He wrote it and got his permanent degree. But just hearing stories like that make me wonder about the higher education. Because here we got two guys, a useful idea, which were not given extension to work on it. That's just an aside. So they did complete it, 2015. And so, like I said, I saw this documentary maybe 10 years ago, which would have been 2015, or maybe only 9 years ago, forget which. And I got thinking about it, so I thought, has any progress been made on this technology? And the answer is no. I looked some stuff up, to find out about it. And I mean, it's still good stuff. There's a lot of positive feedback online about it. People interested in it, but there are technical difficulties with bringing it into common use. Let's say. So how does this work? Basically, low frequency sound waves, around 30 to 60 hertz, can be used to push air around. And so oxygen is in air, fire needs oxygen to burn. So the idea is you're generating these sound waves in order to push the air away from the base of the fire, and so it doesn't get any fuel and it goes out. Oxygen starvation basically. And so it could be understood why DARPA sort of gave up on it, because large fire in a small space, not easy to do. But these two students continue to work on it. Basically, so it could be done. We had the proof from DARPA that it could be done. Their project was, we want to make a portable version of it that could be used to fight fires. So their biggest problem was finding an energy source, because in order to generate a lot of low frequency waves, you need a powerful energy source. That was their biggest problem, and that's the biggest problem of why it's not in mass production now, is you need a good energy source. Now, electronic devices tend to heat up, especially if they use a lot of energy. So carrying my portable unit into a fire, a building which the temperature is already up on, could have some problems. So we want to find a way to make something which isn't going to generate as much heat to run, and at the same time, or if possible, a low energy version of this. Now, personally, I would love to see a house on fire, van pulls up next to it, door slides open, there's two giant speakers, and it just blasts away and the fire goes out. I would love to see that sometime. That's never going to happen. I mean, that's sort of what popped into my mind when I first saw this documentary. And the problem is, you got to get your thing. What they designed is basically looks sort of like a fire extinguisher. The nozzle is wider because it has to be shaped a certain way to generate the waves properly. The other part, the cylinder, I guess, which would carry the gas, is more of just a power generator of some sort. And you have to hold the nozzle close to the base of the flame for it to work. So, we aren't going to just have this, van on the street blasting away fires. We're still going to need people to carry these devices into the house and point it at the source of the fire. So I got to thinking, firefighter training is going to be about the same. They're still going to have to worry, they've still got to go into the fire. Still got to worry about smoke, still got to worry about the possibility of falling. If it's a 2 or 3 story building, then stuff from upstairs could fall on you when you're going through. So there's still a lot of old school firefighting techniques which have to be studied by firefighters if we ever get these units. Again, like I said, these things are potentially overheating because of the energy source, which means that's going to take some extra training. Other extra potential damage to the firefighters as they are working. They got to be careful not to touch the energy source and burn up. Won't necessarily get a hot, super hot burn, but can get burned enough that they might drop the unit and potentially break it. How long? Again, super energy, high energy use. So how long would the batteries on these things last? That's another thing we have to worry about. We don't want to. You only have 5 minutes to run in and put out the fire with this thing. We want it to last a while. That's another obstacle you have to overcome in order to get these working more commonly. So that's where we're at, basically. The idea works. It's just the technology is still a little behind, not all there yet. And again, the technology is more than anything else is the power source for it. We have to come up with a better power source. You would think, lithium batteries, we could have a rechargeable fire extinguisher. except we've had enough problems with lithium batteries catching fire that we really want to be carrying them into a building in a device which has to heat up itself in order to work. So we're probably going to have to go with old school batteries for a while until we can find a way around this. You know, is there a way to generate the low frequency sound waves with a lesser with less energy? And probably, but we just have to discover it. That's it. Like I said, saw this about 9 or 10 years ago. Hadn't heard anything more about it, so I thought I'd look up, see where it was going. And again, it's going nowhere, but there are still people interested in it, so it could potentially go somewhere. That's it. Have a nice day.